Yo, it's me, Shanaenae, at the Apple stand. You can call me Shanapple. Please don't do that. I'm still actually kind of sad that we can't use our selfie sticks to take a picture of this here, so I guess this is our best that we can do. It's been a while since the last time I uploaded a video of just some regular matches, and my excuse for that is that I did recently upload two more structured videos. The one on the Suika game history, and the video from yesterday is the Explosion Team video. Now I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit and tell you that those matches were all pre-recorded initially with no commentary, and there were a lot more matches than what was shown off in that video, and I feel like it'd be a waste to not use them, so I figured today I'll go through some of those other videos as well as tomorrow, because there's quite a few videos. So with that out of the way then, let's get into today's battles. So for our first battle, we're up against Mosos with a Clefairy and a Goodra, two very tanky Pokemon. So already alarm bells were going off, but I still went with the Ogerpon Golem lead with Rabsca and Grafaiai in the back. Now Clefairy and Goodra are probably very scary, I say, because the whole point of this team was that I insta-kill everything, and also shout out to Mars's profile picture of him staring at the asses there. But as I say that, Clefairy and Goodra are the two leads. The one thing that I didn't want to see. So here I was already at an impasse. I was like, well, Goodras, they typically go Terra Steel, right? That is how they get rid of their weaknesses. So let me Stomping Tantrum the Goodra and go for a possible, what is it called? Explosion anyway. Going with the Terra as well because I definitely need the damage. Clefairy probably has a Eviolite, and the extra damage will help out with the Goodra. Now we'll see here though that once I do go Terrestrialize into Electric type, I will say it's a little bit scary in that, or I should have realized rather, that there's nothing really here that would make the Goodra want to Terrestrialize. So of course, no Terrestrialization. Stomping Tantrum barely does anything. We lower our speed, which activates Defiant because of Goodra's buoy, but obviously that won't matter. Scald comes out onto the Golem. Thankfully, no burn. I imagine if I did get burned, this would have been a lot worse, because now the Golem does get the explosion off. Let's see, it does take out Clefairy in one shot. Goodra gets very low, so not the greatest, but yeah. I don't think Woodhammer would have gotten the KO because it does have a resistance to grass since it is part dragon. Ogerpon switches out then. So I don't know what Clefairy was going to do there, because I was expecting Follow Me maybe initially. Follow Me with like a shelter or something. So I wonder if it was trying to set up a trick room. It was moving last, even after the Golem. But Grafaiai can come in, and of course, like, oh, as you would know, Copycat, if we use it here, would use the last used move, which was Explosion. And with Rabsca coming out on the field, Rabsca will be immune to the friendly fire from Rabsca, from Grafaiai because of telepathy. So he sends out Infernape, which is honestly something I have not seen used before. And I feel like it has Bullet Punch or Mach Punch. But either way, though, thankfully we move first with Grafaiai and get up an Explosion. Of course, this is Choice Band Explosion, so a lot of damage coming in here. Rabsca doesn't take any damage. KO's Goodra, and it gets a critical on the Infernape. Listen, I want to say that doesn't matter because one, it's a Choice Band, max attack boosted or max attack invested Grafaiai, and I don't think Infernape is the bulkiest Pokemon out there. I imagine it was built for speed and attack. But of course, with nothing else in the field to attack, that means that Rabsca is free to get a Revival Blessing and also have its Leperberry restore that PP. Of course, we bring back Golem in because, I mean, in theory, we could bring back Grafaiai and use Copycat Revival Blessing, which maybe is something I should consider in the future. But for now, though, Golem comes in as his final Pokemon is a Dragonite. If there was a Gyarados in the back, I would have been very happy, but Dragonite made things a lot worse because that, I assume, has multi-scale, and also it is very fast and it can have a lot of damage. So what I did was I endured with Golem, expecting him to go into the Golem with an attacking move here, while Rabsca goes for a Struggle Bug to break that multi-scale. But he sets up with Dragon Dance. The speed probably doesn't matter, but the attack definitely does. Rabsca goes with the Struggle Bug, gets a huge critical hit, absolutely mattered, 100%. Of course, special attack drop doesn't matter. And the thing with Golem is that Endure cannot be spammed. Endure and Protect share the same mechanic. So if you Endure once, you cannot do it again. You have a 33% chance to activate. And you can't toggle between the two. You can't go Endure, Protect, Endure, Protect. over and over. So instead, to reset it, I switch Golem out and bring back in Ogerpon, sort of as a sacrificial lamb there. Because in my mind, right now, the only way to have Golem go first is to have it use Endure, go down to 1 HP, and have Custard Berry activate. But even then though, here's where I realize, or after this I realize, even if I do get priority with the Custard Berry, Dragonite probably has extreme speed. So thankfully Rapska has speed swap. So again, I don't bring in the Golem just yet, I bring the Grafaiai in as a sacrifice. Because in my mind I thought, wait a minute, he just used Ice Spinner now. Ice Spinner would be super effective against Dragonite if I use Copycat here. But I even checked that, wait, he hasn't used Terra yet, so he probably is going to go Terra normal here. But I'll take it anyway though, and in the meantime, I'll try and get off a speed swap here to switch Dragonite and Rapska's speed. Now, I'm not exactly sure if... I assume speed swap only swaps the base speeds, because Dragonite does have +1 right now. I imagine that doesn't get transferred across. But as expected, he goes Terra normal here for what I assume is extreme speed. And yeah, that goes on to the Grafaiai, taking it out instantly. That means Rapska is still alive here. So the speed swap. So the speed swap goes through. Now, I don't know if that's going to matter, but Golem can come out next. Now, here's where I realized that Golem, he's built tough. I was underestimating him. Remember now that Dragonite is at +1. I realize now that there's no point in trying to endure here, because what if he just targets Rapska instead? So I explode and I speed swap, because in my mind I'm like, this will work, right? He goes for extreme speed onto the Golem, and it does barely any damage. That's +1 Dragonite, by the way. Normal Terra boost as well. And Golem eats it like a champ. So he speed swap for just shenanigans, I suppose, and then Explosion goes off. And now that he is no longer a Dragon type, he no longer resists it. And it is a, I won't say one-shot because there was that help from Rapska earlier, but finally Dragonite goes down. Again, I would have used this in the video, but this end bit here was a lot of drawn out switching around the entire time to dodge the Dragonite damage. But at least I got to show it off here though, so I'm happy. And as is Mars as he stares off at those butts in the background. Two different people, him and I. I look at the Ogerpon and Carmine, he looks at the butts. Next battle is up against Isidro, which has a very interesting team. Apart from the Arcanine and maybe the Dragapult. Actually, no. Arcanine is really the... No, actually, you know what? Never mind. Not even Hisuian Arcanine. And then they have Magnezone, Garganical, Wochien, Dragapult, and Slowking. It's a very interesting team, to say the least. And he decides to lead with both the Dragapult and the Slowking. Now, normally, the Dragapult is where you would go, oh, Explosion won't work, it's a Ghost type. But remember, Golem has Galvanized, so Explosions will be an Electric type move. So they will still hit the Dragapult, which honestly, now that I'm saying that, it does make the Explosions immune against, or ground types are now immune to it. But I never saw one ground type. That was never an issue for me. He goes for Terastallization and he goes for Terra Water, which is very interesting. Slowking already a water type, so I imagine this is for Scald boosted damage, but we go Follow Me first with Ogerpon, because I imagine it was going to use something for the Dragon Darts maybe from the Dragapult, but instead it uses Phantom Force. Now I don't know, here's the thing, I don't know how this works. Explosion goes off firstly, with Slowking being a water terror, easy KO. Ogerpon eats that and has eject button activate. Here's the thing, I don't know how Follow Me interacts with 2-turn moves. I don't know if Follow Meing there before the initial turn of Phantom Force means that he's going to target Ogerpon now, or do you have to use Follow Me on the turn that he reappears? But assuming it was going to target Ogerpon, or that Ogerpon slot, I switched into Pawmod because at least that has a Focus Sash on hand. As for the other slot, I didn't want to risk sending in a Basculegion in case that wasn't how it worked, and that would be a Ghost type there. It would be super effective Phantom Force, so instead I send Ogerpon back out yet again. He sends an Arcanine, which does lower our attack, but that obviously just means that Ogerpon gets a Defiant boost, so we're at +1 with the Ogerpon and -1 for Pawmod. Pawmot doesn't really matter that much because, of course, he's going to use Revival Blessing. Meanwhile, Ogerpon, I'm scared about the Flare Blitz and also the possibility of the Phantom Force targeting it. So I spike his shield, and of course, like I said, as long as Pawmot doesn't get doubled by both of them, Phantom Force goes into it, that's fine, it survives. As long as Arcanine doesn't attack it as well, which is also actually, Pawmot goes before the Arcanine, which is very interesting. It's a very slow Arcanine. So that means we can revive our Golem. No Leopard Berry on the Pawmot means that we don't get a PP, so that is our only revival we're going to get this turn. And Arcanine goes for a Flamethrower into the Ogerpon, which is very interesting that he used Flamethrower and not Flare Blitz or say E-Speed. So it's probably the Snarl, Will-O-Wisp, and supportive set on the Arcanine. But let's see, after that though, we have a Stomping Tantrum on an Arcanine. Of course, we're going to use that with Ogerpon. And Pawmot doesn't really have that much else. It can't use Fake Out now, and it's used Revival Blessing. So instead, we can just go for a Double Shock, try and get some chip damage out. But I assume this must be Choice Band on that Dragapult, since it's only using that. Pawmot goes first then with Double Shock, and honestly, for being at -1, that does a lot more damage than I was expecting. Ogerpon goes next, and Stomping Tantrum absolutely will pick up the KO, +1, super effective damage. That Arcanine, honestly, yeah, the Arcanine being that slow is very intriguing to me. Lastly is Garganical. Yeah, there was no way I was going to win this with like non-stop explosions. With the bulky team and the disappearing Dragapult the whole time. But this does mean that we have Stomping Tantrum and a close combat onto that Garganical though. Phantom Force comes out and takes out the Pawmot for some reason. I don't know why he was targeting Pawmot here. If I was him, I would have targeted Ogerpon because that is at +1. It's the real threat here. Because now we can just go for a Wood Hammer and take out the Garganical instantly. But then again though, you could maybe argue that maybe if he did target Ogerpon... Actually no, I don't think Pawmot would have gotten a KO there. It was at -1, even with close combat, it wouldn't have worked. But for our final Pokemon, or for our next Pokemon, we can send in Basculegion against his final Dragapult. Now knowing that he's been using Phantom Force the entire time here, I simply just decide to go Terra Water and Lost Spec. Terra Water just to remove my Ghost type to not be super effective, or not take super effective damage. And Lost the Specs because I thought maybe I outspeed it. I know I don't outspeed it, but I did it anyway. Just for fun. As expected, he goes first with Phantom Force. Now, I don't know who he's targeting here. I would assume that he would be targeting Basculegion, right? He sees the Ghost type, he sees it's super effective. So Stomping Tantrum doesn't hit here, which importantly means that it will do more on the following turn. So I Stomping Tantrum again. And Basculegion, I think, oh, he's going to attack into Basculegion. Let me protect. That way I can just have Ogerpon go for the the increased Stomping Tantrum damage on the following turn. That is about to be proven to be a very bad move because Dragapult has Infiltrator, which means that it can attack through Protects, which is very scary to realize. Ogerpon's boosted damage, even though it has +1, does not get the KO. But that's when I realized, oh wait a minute, I can follow me of course, but also more importantly, I have Aqua Jet on Basculegion. That'll absolutely get a KO, even if it's not very effective. It has the Water Terror, Stab, it'll absolutely get a KO. The follow me there is just again in case, I don't know. In case that's somehow that's how Phantom Force works somehow. But that just goes to show that the team is more than just the meme strat. You can still win matches if you play it out normally and you use your cards right. But those are just some of the other matches in which this team did me well, this Explosion team. If you haven't already seen the original team and how it is supposed to work, check out some of the previous videos and I shall see you all in the next one. Until then, peace.